Hi, everyone, and welcome to Divine Resolution Tarot. For those of you who are new, my name is Chanel, and for those of you who are returning, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to read for all of you again. So this is a twin flame reading. We're looking at the month of August. I'm going to be looking at the past energy, but just to see what role that plays in your current situation now. So let's dive into this and see what has been going on with you all. My feminine energies over here, doesn't matter your physical appearance or however you identify yourself. It's just to keep them separate, masculines here, so that we don't get confused. All right, so my twins, usually I'm talking to the feminine. So don't be offended if I say feminine in reference to you. As I'm looking at your spread, you came through with the Queen of Swords, masculine with Seven of Pentacles in the reverse. We've got you saying I love you in the reverse with patience, also in the reverse. I accept that everything happens in divine order. Masculine's got pride, which is kind of apparent in the spread as far as the tarot goes too. I love myself and I see myself in everyone. He also is saying, or she, it doesn't matter. So please just do what you need to do with the titles. I am afraid of this connection, but that's in the reverse. So I feel like the fear is definitely there. It's been there for the masculine, probably since he first or she first met the feminine energy, right? But they're not willing to acknowledge that fear. So I feel like as soon as that fear starts to get triggered, if you're spending a lot of time together, if you're trying to figure out perhaps where the situation is going, instead of facing the fear or even acknowledging the fear, the masculine has a tendency to just activate their ego. And that's how they deal with things, which unfortunately, egos can be good to have because it's like a level of confidence. But you're supposed to learn how to work with your ego, how to transcend your ego in your human experience so that your ego is not running the show, right? Ego is more like the fuel to get you to the next place because it talks about what you deserve or what you feel like you deserve and what you want out of life. It's a horrible navigator, right? It's not a tool you want to use to steer the car, right? It's more kind of that drive to keep going. So I feel like, unfortunately, you feminine energy have experienced that quite a bit from the masculine, becoming triggered rather than staying in one place and really thinking it through, figuring out why do I feel this way, not even being willing to acknowledge the feelings, right? Just leaving, or it kind of looks like giving attention to someone else with the Seven of Pentacles in the reverse. Temperance reverse coming out for the energy that was created for your relationship in the past. And you have deception reverse and gifts. So it feels like for you feminine, even though you still have the love, the patience is gone or has been gone. The willingness to be the only one giving to a connection is gone. Queen of Swords is very intellectual, but this is somebody who really weighs patterns over potential, right? Queen of Swords is not the kind of person that's going to stick around and keep investing in a situation that hasn't shown any kind of return. And so I feel like for you feminine energy, you really got into a space with your masculine where regardless of what they were doing or trying to give you, you took stock of the situation and you're like, it's just not enough. Like, it doesn't matter what comes with this, whatever you say or what it feels like in this moment. I don't feel like this is ever going to be enough. Or I mean, at least at the time, it wasn't enough. I think that you're kind of projecting like a future forecast that if this has gone the way it's gone so far, you can probably speculate that it'll be the same around this time next year. Now, that doesn't mean that's what you're hoping for, right? But Queen of Swords is very pragmatic. She's very practical in her thinking, or his thinking, it doesn't matter. But this is someone who they're going to consider the facts of the situation over their emotion. And I feel like that's what you did. You kind of switched into this mode where rather than looking at how you feel about this person or what they're showing you today, because with with these cards here, it shows me that it changes constantly, right? This person's cool 1 minute, they're gone the next. They want you, they're with someone else. You know what I'm saying? So rather than trying to speculate, like, how does this person feel about me? What did it mean when they said this? What did it mean when they did that? You have opened up like all of the time capsule and started reviewing all of the chapters of what you've already seen, which I think is actually a really healthy way to go about dealing with this situation, because this is someone who has a tendency to keep you very dysregulated. And it's almost like if you don't take stock and center yourself, this person has the capacity to be able to gaslight, right? To make you think that something different is going to happen, or to future fake, like, oh yeah, when we do this and that. Well, now you're getting into a space, or you have been getting into a space where you're looking at it like, okay, yeah, when we do this and that, but has that ever happened? How long have I been in this situation? How many times have I heard all of the things that could happen, only to wait and stay and find out that they're not happening, right? For some of you, when your masculine energy gets triggered, they have a habit of disconnecting and really focusing on work. But it's not coming from a space of like, I'm working towards something with you, or I'm working more so that I can build something with you. They become very closed off, and it's like, I'm working on myself, I'm working on my life, I'm making more money for me, right? And it's their way of putting that wall up of like, this is not a us, this is not a we, this is a me thing. If your person does not have a tendency towards being a workaholic, then this is them getting into a space where they're giving to other people, right? You get kind of demoted when you stand up for yourself, or if you say no, or if you don't go with the program. They have a tendency to be very flippant and to try to insert other people into their lives as a way of showing you that, you know, you're not that important, you don't matter. If you're not doing what they're doing, somebody else will, right? For you, with this deception and the reversing gifts, I do feel like there was something here, some sort of offer. It could have been a small one, it could have been an apology even, you know, but I feel like whatever it was that the masculine was trying to come in with, you saw this for what it was. It's literally a way to try to get you to come closer without actually having to change anything, right? So temperance in reverse, for what's been created, your past energy that spirit wants me to know about, it seems like the two of you have gone off and started kind of doing your own things, or at least that was the decision that was made, because it didn't feel like anything was changing. But you've changed, right? Because now you're enforcing your boundaries and you're saying, if this situation isn't reciprocal, I don't want to be a part of it. The hard part that I'm seeing here is that it feels like there's already such an emotional deficit with this temperance in the reverse that it would take the masculine energy some really hard work to even get on neutral ground with you, right? Or equal ground, so that you would feel like it was level, right? Right now, it feels like this person energetically has kind of dug themselves into such a hole, right? That they're not even able to approach you in a way that they have that opportunity for a fresh start, because you're still viewing them through the lens of all the things that they didn't do or said they were going to do or did and really shouldn't have done that have damaged this connection, right? For your person, you know, I feel like in the past, this frustrated them, because there's an energy of them feeling like whether they invest in you or not, for some reason, you're just always going to be there. So I'm not sure if that's a discussion that the two of you had, or if that's just the energy they pick up on. If this has been a cycle with this person, you know, maybe they're going off of what they've seen in the past the same way you are. And they're thinking that, you know, oh, my feminine always takes me back. It's fine. I'll just come back. Feminine will take me back. Now, what I think is interesting is that for you, feminine energy, you've been very focused on the present. You've been very focused on the future, right? And now you're switching into the mode of looking at the past and seeing what that is and what's been created and allowing that to dictate, right? Kind of how you deal with this person. Whereas this person, I feel like from the very beginning was looking at the past and paying attention to the patterns of the past. Like, oh, my feminine always takes me back. Or, if I get into too much trouble with my feminine, if I'm quiet for a while, I can come back and we can start over. Or if I spend time with someone else, that triggers my feminine. So this person has already been kind of looking at the patterns of the past. But I feel like with this temperance in reverse, it's almost like the energy is shifting, because as you're starting to assume a role where you're looking at the past, they're looking at the present, right? Because now they're starting to feel the effects of you focusing on something else. Instead of you focusing on what could be happening, you're focusing on what has already happened and the lack thereof. And that's affecting how that's trickling down to them in the form of the attention you give them, the time that you give them, the amount of forgiveness that you have available, right? So in your action, to start considering what you've already seen from this person rather than where this could go, now this person is having to take stock of the present, right? Why am I in this situation? What have I done to put myself here, right? And that's actually what I'm seeing in your present energy, is that through this temperance in the reverse, the well kind of went dry, right? For you, it was like, if nothing's going to change, I can't do this anymore. I've changed. For them, now they're looking at it like, okay, well, where am I going to get my supply? Where am I going to get my energy from? If feminine isn't going to forgive me this time, are they even serious, right? Because there's kind of an energy here of the ego kicking in and them saying, this can't be the case. This can't quite be true, right? So let's take a look at your spread for the present. For you, feminine, you make me feel safe with the Emperor in the reverse. So that alone really speaks volumes, because I feel like for a lot of the feminines that I've had the honor to read for, and for the feminine collective, when you first met your masculine, you may have been in a space where you didn't particularly trust masculine energy, based on things that could have happened to you before you met this person. And there was always kind of that desire for safety within your connection, right? I feel like with the Emperor or the divine masculine, stepping back, because for most twin flame relationships, the first month to 3 months is really great. And then it gets super tumultuous, and everything that you saw in this person, all of that potential or even whatever you were creating in that moment, it kind of feels like something flips and you don't even know this person anymore. But I think the difficulty in twin flame relationships is once they do that and they start ghosting or running, you're left alone and you realize that you don't really know yourself very well, right? You don't really like where you're at in your own life. And so I feel like you've already been through that. You're kind of at a different stage in the game than some of the newer twins who are just coming in contact with their masculine partner or their feminine partner. And for you, you've had to really build yourself up, right? I feel like if you're already at temperance in the reverse, you've been at this for a long time, right? Because that's like the middle of the major arcana. You're now heading towards some other stuff, some bigger energies, not to minimize the major arcana, but this is not the Fool, right? You're not at zero. You've been doing this for a minute. So you've had to build your own safety within yourself, right? You had to figure out, what are you committed to? Because this type of connection doesn't allow you to be committed to it. If you try to commit to this masculine with the way he's behaving or she's behaving, this is the kind of energy that's very destructive to your self-esteem. It's very destructive to pretty much every area of your life, because you would become so dysregulated, you couldn't function, right? In other areas of your life. This kind of energy takes so much to hold on to that you'd be exhausted, right? Trying to do other things. And it also, for whatever reason, the masculine has a way of like really, really affecting the feminine to the point that if they're being dismissive or they don't reach out or they put other people where the feminine belongs, that can have some really catastrophic effects on the feminine self-esteem, right? And once our self-esteem takes a knock, everything around us that we're kind of working on starts to reflect that, right? Maybe there's money issues, maybe there's conflicts within the family, maybe you just feel depression, right? So what I like about this for the present is that it feels like for you feminine, you're not looking for the stability and the safety from your masculine anymore, right? It's like been there, done that. Every time I let you into my life, I end up so far back from where I started. But you, right, you get all kinds of stuff from me. You get time, money, patience, attention, whatever you need is available. But then because I've given it all to you, the masculine leaves before they can reciprocate, right? That temperance in the reverse. And so this is a very empty connection in a lot of ways, right? Because as soon as you build yourself up, they come in empty handed. You give them all the energy you worked so hard to create by yourself. They don't reciprocate. They take it, they leave. And here you are again, just kind of empty and waiting for them to come back. And what I'll say about that is a trauma bond, right? Oftentimes people hear trauma bond, they think, oh, we've been through the same trauma, so we have a bond because we understand each other. That's not what a trauma bond is, okay? This masculine creates a trauma bond in the feminine by depleting her and then leaving. Because what does that do to you? It turns you into someone who's always waiting for closure, waiting for validation, waiting for acknowledgement, right? And I feel like on some level, the masculine knows what they're doing, possibly because somebody did that to them, and so that's a tool that they use to try to keep people where they want them. Because what does that do to you feminine energies when this happens? It keeps you where they want you, right? You stay put. You don't understand. Why are you ignoring me? Why are you treating me this way? And it becomes kind of this festering wound that starts to interrupt other areas of your life. So very nice for you, because you've had to go very deep within and decide, what are you committed to? It's kind of like that Dua Lipa song where she talks about her new rules, right? What are my new rules for myself in dealing with this situation, as well as any situation past this, right? Because for you, feminine energy, I feel like you've purged your desire for your masculine, okay? Because I'm not seeing anything here that's making me feel like the emotional desire is still there to be with this person. And I know that as a twin, that will probably always be there. But somehow, maybe it's because you've been able to start giving yourself all of the things you wish this person would have given to you. You've been able to kind of blunt that feeling of lack, right? Because this person has that tendency to leave you in lack. So you're in a really good space, right? You've done the work to not desire your masculine because you are fulfilling your needs for yourself. You're validating yourself, and you're not thinking that this is the end all, right? It would be great if this could be a thing, but until this is a thing, or even if this is never a thing, I'm going to make sure I'm good, right? And so very nice. Now that you've done that, there's a little bit of frustration that I'm seeing here because it looks like the masculine energy has not caught up to where you are, which what else is new, right? But the problem is that you've gotten into a space where you can live without this person. And they may have tried to reach out with this Page of Pentacles, but you're not in the same space. You don't desire them the same way, right? Now you're being very practical. Some of you, maybe you become a minimalist with the Fool, right? Or you become an essentialist where you're like, you know what? If it doesn't serve a purpose in my life, I don't need it, or I can't give attention to it because it's a bad investment, right? The difficulty here is that you already were emotionally kind of at a level where you were operating, I don't want to say at a higher level, but I mean, like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, you came into this a whole lot different than they did, right? So you already had the emotional intelligence to recognize the connection, see what it was, decide that you wanted it, invest in it, right? You did that. Now you're finding the analytical piece of not blaming yourself, right, for the way that things happen, not staying in a space of rejection or desire for validation. And it's like they're just now starting to think, right? Starting to enter into the stage of the emotional intelligence that it feels like you've been exhibiting this whole time. So again, it kind of feels like a miss, right? Looking at your masculine's energy, what I will say that's good is that they have all major arcana for present, okay? So I feel like this is a big lesson for your masculine energy. They're coming through with the energy of, I think you won't forgive me. So that's good, right? Because at least they're starting to realize that there's a real issue here and that they played quite a large role in this, right? But as far as your masculine really doing anything, they're thinking, you know? So if you're not talking to this person right now, that's why. They're in the energy of the Hermit. They're in the energy of the Wheel of Fortune and the Hierophant. So for some of you, this person at present has decided that because of everything that's happened in this relationship, they can't fix this and it's easier to be with someone else, right? You have, I can't make this right, and it's in the reverse. So there's an energy of not even acknowledging why they feel compelled to do something else right now. And I think it's because of whatever happened in the past where you really put your foot down. Now they feel like, you know, I can't fix this. But again, instead of acknowledging that, right, they're doing something else, very possibly with someone else, right? So for some of you, this person went and found a relationship because they feel you moving on. And I don't particularly feel like you've moved on with anyone else because you're 10 of Cups here. So you could just be spending time with friends and family, right? Planning for your future, investing in yourself, just vibing, right? Living life. But for the masculine, the way that they perceive this temperance and the reverse energy is that if you're not willing to take the crumbs that they're giving you, then you most certainly must be with someone else, right? So rather than them looking at the situation and seeing, you know, it's my fault that my feminine energy doesn't want to deal with me right now. This is a me thing that I've affected this person to the point they would rather be alone than to be with me. In their mind, the wheels are turning and they're like, okay, this has never happened quite this way before. And it must be as a result of my feminine being with someone else. That has to be what it is, right? That feminine is with someone, they've met someone, they just have friend zoned me. I don't like the way that feels. It's time for me to do something else. Because the bottom of your tarot deck is the Death in the reverse. So as a result of not changing, the situation not changing, the masculine not changing, the feminine has taken that step back, right, to restore balance within herself or his self. Unfortunately, the masculine is looking at this like, well, if you're going to be with someone else, then I'm going to be with someone else because you've given up on me, right? So for some of you, you have found out that your masculine is dating, you know, or that they've committed to someone. For others of you, this masculine energy has gotten, you know, maybe a second or third job because there is that tendency to be a workaholic, or they've recertified their commitment to the bachelor or bachelorette life, right? what I feel is very unfortunate here is that you feminine are doing the work, and that's why you're okay with being alone until you find something or someone that's really worth your time. The masculine is trying to be alone because they're looking at what you're doing. It's almost like instead of them seeing how you got to where you are, where you're not looking at being by yourself as a curse, they're looking at it like, well, I've screwed up my one chance to be in love, right? So now I have to wander the earth forever alone and empty. It's kind of that energy, right? Where if they are with someone, they look at that person and they're like thinking that they're just filler because they've lost the one. But I'm not particularly picking up on that energy. I think that for you, with the past and the compromise in the reverse, you just want what you want, right? You want some accountability. You want some stability from your emperor, right? Because if you can do better by yourself, why would you sign up for something that is just going to put you backwards? That just, it doesn't make sense. Masculine energy, however, is looking like they got friend zoned. That's just their karma. There's a huge energy of like giving up on the connection, giving up on it. But that's in response to them feeling like you've given up. And so it's silly because you've given up on them ever changing is what this is, right? And instead of them saying, okay, my feminine has given up on me changing, that should make me want to change because I know how much I've disappointed this person and how much I kind of owe them energetically. They're just like, oh, all is lost. They've given up on the relationship. They just want to be friends. They don't have any like sexual attraction to me. Oh, universe, how could you? The fates, have frowned upon me. Come on, man. Like, if you would just get it together, I feel like this would be a really healthy relationship because the feminine is in a really healthy place. It's not about the masculine not being the right person for the feminine. It's about the masculine not changing, right? Not growing up, not understanding what priorities are or how to treat the people who show up for the masculine, right? So of course, feminine's going to be very protective of what they've been working on. But because masculine doesn't understand that kind of work or why you would be protective, they're actually just taking this as rejection. So kind of weird, you know what I mean? Because in some ways it's kind of fitting because how many times has this person made you feel rejected, right? And in all honesty, you're not even doing anything to try purposely to make this person feel rejected. So it is kind of their karma, right? But it's also through the lens of this pride and this ego. Because instead of them saying, oh, the feminine's done so much work, I need to follow suit, the pride and the ego kick in where it's like, there's nothing wrong with me. I don't need to be the one to make this right, because if you're not going to forgive me anyway, what's the point of trying? If we're not going to hop into bed tomorrow, what's the point of showing up for this at all? Right? So masculine, unfortunately, at this time is kind of spiraling. For you feminine, I feel like you're just staying the course. Let's ask some questions for these cards because I want to take a look into how you're feeling about them and how they're feeling about you. We're going to see what you both want, but we're starting with you, how you're viewing this person. Let's do the same for the masculine. Okay. All right. So first thing we're looking into, how are you both feeling about each other at this time? Well, you got Hanging Man in the reverse. They've got Eight of Swords. So this, again, the ego is like running the show because you got your masculine who is constantly thinking about you, even though they're not doing anything because there is no communication. here on their end and none on yours, right? I kind of feel like you both are doing different things at this time. The difficulty here is the ego's kicking in and they're seeing this as you trying to do to them what they did to you, which that's not even what this is, right? But for them, they see it like, oh, my feminine is just trying to keep me stuck, by telling me they don't want me, because that's the game that they would play with you, right? So when you level up and you're like, hey, Page of Pentacles, I'm not into this, we can be friends, they're automatically thinking that you learned the game and now you've switched the roles. And what they don't realize is that you're not even playing the game, right? Hanging man in the reverse. Until this person comes correct, there's nothing to talk about. It's not a matter of, tit for tat. I'm not going back and forth with you. In all honesty, with no swords, you're not even thinking about this, right? I mean, you are, but you just kind of put it on the shelf the same way it seems like they always put you on the shelf, and that, again, that's their karma. And that's why they feel like you're doing this on purpose to them, because they were doing this on purpose to you. So they can't possibly understand, right, that this isn't a part of the game. This is just you really being over it, right? This person struggles. They struggle with themselves. I think there's a huge energy here of they can't possibly perceive that people are autonomous from them, right? Like, you loved this person, and because they didn't love themselves, there's no way people could love me, right? The same way that they're viewing this game, that they're the only ones playing right now. Because you aren't replying the way that they're used to. They feel like you've learned the rules, you switched it up, and now, right, oh, my feminine's just trying to keep me stuck. They're just trying to do to me what I did to them. And so you're going to be met with resistance, because this person, rather than like sitting and thinking, they're having a knee-jerk reaction where they want to reestablish the control in the situation. Okay, that's just how I'm going to put it. Now, I think that's going to be very hard for them because there's nothing to control. Okay, feminine's kind of exited the building because with the hanging man in the reverse, there's such a feeling here of like, with all that I've done to get myself where I need to be, dealing with this person would be me betraying myself. And at the end of the day, all I have is myself, because after I give this person what they want, they're just going to leave. And then I'm going to have to look at myself in the mirror every day and feel horrible, right? So yeah, they're not understanding that there's nothing negative that they can do or say. You got envy in the reverse. They're not going to be able to cajole you into being jealous enough to reach out if they're doing something else. This here shows me that you're like, that's where you could stay, right? Because I don't trust you anymore anyway. And I don't understand what the purpose of you is in my life. So I had to give myself a purpose for this so that it didn't feel like such a big fat waste of time. Feminine took it and said the purpose of this connection was for me to get myself together, right? For me to have enough self-love to protect myself from people who treat me this way, rather than let my guards down and try to fix someone who behaves this way, right? That's kind of what you feminines are saying the purpose of this was, not so much the purpose of union anymore, right? And so it sucks because I feel like at this time, masculine isn't quite getting the message, and feminine is not taking the time to explain the message because feminine's left the building, right? I think for you feminine energy at this time, you've kind of given up on wanting this. Like, I see that you want the 10 of Pentacles, but I don't particularly feel like with it being under the Fool that you want it from this person, right? Especially because between the two of you at this time, it's only the Page of Pentacles. So again, the energy of feeling like you're better off alone, right? This is all I can afford to give you because I know you're not going to pay me back, It's not going to be reciprocal. So I can't give you everything I have because I don't trust you, not to pull the rug out from under me. So I feel like for you feminine at this time, you do want a relationship, but what you want is something so far superior to what you've seen from this masculine that I don't think you expect it to come from them, because you're not disillusioned, right? You're operating in the Queen of Swords energy. So you've assessed this. This person doesn't have 10 pentacles to give you, but you know what you want, and you're not going to apologize for what you want, and you're not going to lower your standards just because this person is coming in with this Four of Pentacles. Okay. Unfortunately for the situation, the masculine wants the Four of Pentacles. So they want to be able to maintain their level of selfishness, of autonomy, right? They want to keep all of their energy to themselves at this time. And I'm going to tell you why, and it might make you mad, but they already see how good you're doing. So it's almost the energy of like, well, if the feminine has turned the tables on me, I'm certainly not going to be supportive of that and, amp them up even further and get their self-esteem up even more, right? If they're holding their boundary and standing their ground with Queen of Swords, well, I'm moving into Four of Pentacles, right? So it's mine. Everything's mine. My energy is mine. My attention is mine. I don't see the value in giving to this situation, right? You're good. You're good without me. So why should I do anything different, right? Again, it's kind of that knee-jerk reaction of a toddler when they get told they can't have more chicken nuggies at McDonald's today because we already did that yesterday, right? This is very much the energy of like, I'm going to hold my cards very close to my chest so that you can't see how many pentacles I have. Like, those people who go on social media and they'll like have a wad of money in a band, right? And like the first few bills are hundreds, but then after that, it's like all ones and fives. You get what I'm saying? And so it looks like there's more there than it is. That's what this person is doing. They are still trying to figure out what to make of your behavior. They're suspicious. They feel like you're trying to one up them. So this person at this time, I feel like has probably gone very silent. They could be looking like they're building something for themselves, doing more for themselves, spending time with people. This is someone who is trying to give you the impression that they have a great life. They have so much to give. They have so many people that want it, right? And you're not a part of that. You don't get to be a part of that, and I think that all of that's kind of a facade. This is more like somebody begging behind the scenes for people to spend time with them. And then once they get them there, they take like a million pictures and then they don't really care if they stay or not, because that's not what they even want to be doing with their time. Okay. So just a side note, while this person is turning you off, I feel like they're also turning everybody else off around them as well. Okay. So, I mean, if you've had a masculine that has a really toxic friend group, that's probably going to start getting cut away pretty soon, because they're going to realize that spending time with these people is not only empty, but it's not giving them the same validation that you did, right? And they're going to start taking stock of why they're keeping these people in their life. I feel like this is kind of an energy of what they're already doing. But they're also trying to feel like they have control in some way at this time. So not only does it feel like they're holding back from you, but this also feels like they could be doing this to the people around them, which is weird, because I feel like they're trying to be around people to prove that they have a life. But because they're losing control over this, they're trying to maintain control in other areas, and so I think that's going to turn a lot of people off from them, especially toxic people, because toxic people cannot handle the word no, and they cannot handle boundaries, right? So it's almost kind of like, this is not exactly the same, but I just had this image of, say you have parents and one like abuses the other, right? And so the parent that gets abused abuses the child because they're angry, right? That's kind of what this is like they have to reestablish some sort of control in their life. And so they'll start treating the people around them, not just the way they treated you, but probably a little bit worse, because in their mind, that's how they can feel like they have some sort of control. Okay. I don't know why this person, I feel like there's something that they're saving up for. So I'm going to clarify that. Okay. So this person might be trying to move, like do a physical move, because they want to, at this time, change everything to the point that if you were to decide to be a part of their life, you would not recognize their life. And then you would feel very shut out. So this is interesting to me because I feel like for your past energy, that's how you got to this Page of Pentacles. You probably weren't speaking to them. It's very possible this person spoke to you or you spoke to them or somehow you reconnected. You set your boundary because there's been that distance. And so you wanted this person to be crystal clear about where you stand in this connection. So that led to this Page of Pentacles. Like, this is the offer. This is what I can do. I'm not going any further. And as a result of that, it's like that triggered this person to go off in the corner and leave the offer on the table to try to build this whole different life so that when they reach back out, or if you reconnect, because this Page of Pentacles is just kind of dangling there, right? It hasn't been taken. It hasn't been spoken on. Nobody's affirmed this. Like, yeah, let's work on our friendship, or, hey, let's start over, but, take it super slow and whatever. None of that has happened. The offer happened, and then this person disappeared because when they came back into your life, they were surprised by what they saw, right? But this person hasn't done anything different in the time that you've been apart. So they had to hurry away from you to go start creating something that will make you feel like you don't know that person anymore when they do return to this Page of Pentacles. Okay. So if this person has been very quiet after it seemed like things were fine, like, okay, I thought we were making progress, now they're gone. That's why, they're trying to, it's almost like if someone calls me like, I'm on the way, and you weren't expecting them. So you try to really quick clean up your house. That's what this person is doing. They want you to feel like there's something different about them. Okay. So they might be working more because their goal is to try to make you feel like they don't need you. They're fine without you. Look at how much I've been able to accomplish now that you're not in my life. Because there's something here about this person feeling like really triggered by the fact that you don't need them, right? So it's almost like they have to show you how little they need you. But before they can do that, they have to change some stuff around before they can come back to this Page of Pentacles. So if you're just wondering what the hell happened, that's what it is, right? This person has to really quick make it look like, oh, well, I did all this stuff while you were gone. So, haha, right? Again, though, you don't care. That's for any masculine who feels like watching this. Your feminine doesn't care. They don't care how you put your couch in your living room, or what new apartment or house or car you have. That's you're missing the mark. All right, moving on. The 5 of Wands. Okay, for your question about this relationship, Page of Swords in reverse for their question. So in the past, I feel like when this person does this quiet thing, there's a very strong possibility that you come after them, right? Or you try to reestablish communication, like, hey, you didn't reply. It's been like a month. Are you good? Did you die? Right? You're not doing that. And so this person is trying to figure out, why haven't you reached out, right? Why haven't you said to them, like, did you think about the offer, or where did you go, right? Because that was the expectation in a lot of ways. 5 of Swords, right? They were hoping that as they are doing all these things that will also inspire you to feel demotivated, is how I'll say it. Demotivated to keep your boundaries up, right? Because it's so exhausting to have this person. It's literally like they try to use their silence to either confuse you or to knock down your walls. And so I feel like it's easier sometimes to just reach out and be like, are you dead? Are you cool? And then they jump on it and they're like, oh yeah, I'm fine. And they give you that positive reinforcement, right? That attention. They're trying to figure out why that's not working. Also, for some of you, this person is intentionally putting on a show and they're trying to ascertain whether or not you're watching, right? Are you interested? And if so, why haven't you made any action towards them, right? This person also wonders if you would ever trust them again, because there's a huge energy of them knowing that you don't trust them, right? You actually have, I know I've hurt you. This person's also weighing out, like, what would happen if I never spoke to my feminine again? What if I never, ever replied to a message, never reached out? And I think what they're coming to the realization of is starting to frighten them, right? Because of the way that you've been behaving, they're not able to establish the upper hand at this time, right? They're starting to understand that maybe this isn't like a new rule to the game. This is just you genuinely not caring anymore. And that's hitting home, but it's hitting home in kind of a weird way, because with the Page of Swords in the reverse, there's still like a huge sense of denial here, right? They've seen everything that you've shown them. And I feel like with the Queen of Swords, she doesn't beat around the bush, or he doesn't beat around the bush. You were explicit. You were transparent. You chose the words you wanted this person to hear to inspire the thoughts and feelings that you were trying to get them to feel, right? And this person, instead of them just taking you at your word, they went and played all these weird games thinking that this was a new level to the game, right? So it's like now in the present, they're coming full circle and they're looking at everything you said and they're thinking like, whoa, maybe there was no double meaning behind this. Maybe the game has been over for a while and I'm still just playing this by myself. Whoa, maybe my feminine was like super serious when they just said no. And that was a complete sentence. So kind of a problem for this person because they're in this state of denial, right? I think they're starting to see that they are gaslighting themselves, which again, that's karma, because how many times has this person gaslighted you? They ended up future faking themselves. Oh, if I do this, my feminine will do that. And I just got to go over here and what's happened? Nothing, right? So, I mean, in some ways, it's quite fitting because everything this person has done to you, wasted your time, gaslighted you, future faked you, right? They literally did all that to themselves as a result of you just simply saying no, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. It's a mess, but at the end of the day, I think that's why people are always advised to take the high road in situations like this. Because once you elevate to the point that you're not affected by this behavior, this person, there's no one else to do this with but themselves, right? So then they create all these weird situations for themselves by trying to guess what you're going to do next, right? And so it's almost like a psychosis where this person is like having this whole battle with nobody, right? They haven't even realized that. And they're kind of coming to the realization of like, everything I'm doing is just me running in a circle. I'm by myself. And the feminine really did check out. Like I thought all this time I was, I activated like player 2 mode and I'm doing whatever, like, and you logged off, right? And they're starting to see that, but they don't want to. because then they'll have to internalize that. They'll have to recognize what that means for the future of this relationship. So they're kind of at this very pivotal time, I feel like, in this connection, but also with themselves, right? For you, feminine, your question is the 5 of Wands. So I feel like you're trying to figure out, is it time to start dating? Is it time to get back out there, right? Are you lying to yourself about the potential of meeting someone new? Is something that's coming through very strongly, I think that's good. That's a good question for you to be asking yourself, because just like your masculines over here gaslighting and future faking themselves, you don't want to get into that habit, right? Because it's like subconsciously you miss that behavior, so you start doing it to yourself, right? Don't go there. As far as the two of you reconciling, you know where this is at for now, and I'm going to look at the future in the extended, but you should wonder the things that I'm seeing here, where you're thinking like, have I leveled up enough to attract a new type of person into my life? What does this twin flame dynamic do, in the sense of, if I met someone new, is this going to be something that I'm always tied to? Is this going to be something that I always feel energetically connected to the point that it creates conflict? And I like that you're doing that, because it's very, very healthy. You're looking at things like, if I met someone new, am I just recreating a pattern that I have not mastered in regards to my masculine, right? Am I calling in a soulmate or a karmic partner that I have to experience lessons, that I'm trying to avoid by not dealing with my divine masculine, right? So some very good questions as far as you go. I think you're also very curious to know what you could possibly do to facilitate this person, like, growing up a little bit. But also, if you level up and you stand your ground long enough, is this person going to get the message? Are they going to get the big picture and figure it out, right? There's an energy here of you. I don't want to say you're second guessing the decision you made, because I'm picking up on a lot of strength here. I don't feel like you regret this whatsoever, right? Not feeding into this. But there's a hesitation to even allow this person to be a friend, right? Or pay attention to this again. And there's also an energy here of feeling like, because the dynamic has shifted so greatly, has what needed to happen finally happened to make this masculine wake up, right? To return in the upright as the emperor. Now that you've stepped into your empress energy, male or female, does not matter. Is that going to finally facilitate this change that's so very needed in this connection, right? So I'm going to take a look at what is being created for the future, because I can see that the both of you have these questions. And for you, yours is very action oriented. I think if you could get a very simple, like, yes, they're going to figure it out. No, they're not going to figure it out. That would show you what you need to do next. I don't feel like you're putting your life on hold. I just feel like you're being so incredibly cautious, because it took a long time to break free of this. And you don't want to create, more of this, right? So very good for you. I'm going to look into your person who is trying to figure out, their denial. What is that going to create? Because once this Page of Swords energy gets activated in the upright, what this person is running from is the ending. They're running from the 10 of Swords, right? That's what they're having to face, is that the dynamic of this has changed so greatly, or it may not even be a thing anymore. Once they figure that out, right? That's when this Tower, 5 of Pentacles happens. That's when this person sees, you played all these games, and now what? King of Wands reversed. You're by yourself, and you're very undesirable as a result of your behavior. What's going to come of that, right? Because it looks like in the present, they're kind of coming full circle back to where they started, which is with themselves, right? And all their bright ideas about how to navigate relationships. So I'm going to take this over to the extended reading. I hope that whether you watched the extended reading or you decide not to, this was able to give you clarity about what's going on in your twin flame situation now, so that you're able to kind of have an idea of some of the things that maybe you wouldn't know that's going on with your masculine. I hope you join me in the extended. If not, I will speak to you very soon. Thank you so much for allowing me to read for all of you, and you take very good care of yourselves. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me for the extended reading for our twin flames for the month of August. So I'm not sure how you got back in contact with your twin, but it's making me feel like either this person reached out to test the waters and they thought that you would be upset with them, in the past. I feel like this is how you got back in touch with each other, but you weren't upset, right? Or you reached out to them and it surprised them, because there's something here about this person not being ready to talk or being ready to be a part of your life whenever the two of you came back into the connection, which is weird because I feel like for some of you, this person actually sought you out, but I don't think they expected you to be open to spending time with them. So whenever that happened, that the two of you seemed to come back into one another's orbit, this person, I feel like they took stock of their lives. They realized that they weren't where they needed to be, and so that's why I almost wondered if you reached out to this person, because the energy here is like they hadn't even begun to start thinking about coming back to you if you were doing that like runner chaser thing. They were still doing other things in their lives. And then all of a sudden you're around and they get super triggered and start taking stock of everything they've been doing. Because this person, it feels like, has this cycle of coming and going, right? But it's very much on their terms. It's when they want to speak to you. It's when they want to be in your life. And so it's kind of weird, especially for those of you that this person actually had reached out to you and you're thinking like, oh, okay, like, yeah, we could hang out sometime or whatever, right? Kind of weird behavior, but that is why, right? They went silent very quickly. 6 of Swords in the reverse for the future energy of this connection. And there's kind of a lot to unpack here because oddly enough, the masculine energy is coming through with lots of pentacles in this spread. Not my favorite pentacles, but that's where their focus is on stable, tangible, trust. They're very focused on trust. Pentacles talk about longevity, right?